I, was studying the human rights, not studying it as in a lawyer, but I was studying the list of human rights that the United Nations adopted, which are universal human rights, Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And I read the list many times, and I was thinking, wow, this is like a real wide variety of things. I wrote a poem that I'll share with you about it. But yes, like right to freedom, right to movement, right to religion, right to education, right, so many things, so many rights. So I was looking at it, and one view of looking at it is, this is great, we have a list and the whole world agrees on it. Another way of looking at it is that these rights throw light. Remember this? It's gonna rhyme now. These rights throw light on the nature of this world. That we have to declare that we have right to protection. That we have to declare that we have right to freedom. That we have to declare so many things. And this tells us in a deep way that this world is a place of suffering. It's a dukkhalayam ashashvatam. The yoga text, the yoga text will say this world is a place of suffering. Dukkhalayam ashashvatam. We'll look at these words in detail. Alya means a home. Alya is Sanskrit for home. Dukkha means suffering, misery. So dukkhalayam means a home of suffering. Ashashvatam. Shashvatam means eternal. Right? You want lasting happiness. But the nature of the world is that it is ashashvatam. And is put before a word, that means the opposite. So ashashvatam, it's a place of not eternal, meaning temporariness. So this nature of this world is dukkhalayam ashashvatam. It's a place of misery and temporariness, and hence we have rights to declare. Hence we need to ensure people are protected. Hence we need to ensure there is food. Like a unique perspective from this, that all these rights out there, they remind us of a stark reality. That this world is a place of suffering. And in order to not suffer, which is what seems like our goal, right? We don't want to suffer. We need to put in quite a bit of effort. For example, you need to build a house so you don't suffer from heat, cold, rain. Of course, you don't see it like that. You think, I'm buying a house. I am building a family. Like one of the fundamental rights is, one of the human rights is right to have a family. So I'm building a family, right? But you don't see that you need the house. The cat doesn't need a house, the dog doesn't need a house, but you need a house because you're trying to create a place where you can be protected from the suffering of the elements of nature. In this manner, if you analyze everything, we see that it's a struggle. It's a struggle. So the Krishna says in the Bhagavadgita, Maya shasthani indrani, prakriti sthani karshati. Prakriti is material nature. Karshati means you're struggling. So with all your senses, with your mind, intelligence, everything, we are struggling against material nature. With Shashtani Indriyani, with all your six senses. So five senses the sixth sense is the mind. All the Shashtani Indriyani, all the senses, six of them, with them you are struggling against material nature. So we have understood 2 points so far. We've understood that it's a place of suffering. We've understood, and you already know this. I'm kind of bringing a perspective, I'm bringing it together. Next stage is, we are trying to get a break or a relief from the suffering, right? Hence, we come to our main topic, which is, we're trying to declare rights. And yet, after we declare all these rights, it's not that they just flow. There's UN task forces, there's so many task forces around, there's so many non-profit organizations that are working really hard to maintain these rights for people, right? That means even after our declaration, even after our efforts, there is an attack on it. This is the nature of the material world. That it is a place where you have to fight for survival. You see these movies like Hunger Games and all of those things, and you're like, oh my God, this is too intense. But it's bringing out this reality of life. So Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita says that living Devi Aisha Gunamai, this material nature, Gunamai is modes of nature. There's goodness, passion, and ignorance. Goodness, mode of goodness This is a basic of yoga knowledge. Mode of goodness, mode of passion, mode of ignorance. Tamas, rajas, you might have heard these words before. And passion and ignorance is what we really dwell in these days. So he says, Devi Haisha Gunamai, this divine energy, Devi means divine energy of mine, has three gunas, Gunamai. Mama Maya, he says, this is my energy. Durataya. Durataya means extremely difficult to overcome. Mama eva ye prapadyante, Maya mitam tarantite. The one who approaches me, Maya will help them. But otherwise, on its own, you can't have a boxing match. And I'll give you an example, because you might say, well, what is this Maya? Where is it? But I'll give you an example. Maya has a specific agent that lives with each one of us. Just like the Lord lives in the heart, there is another personality that follows us everywhere. It's Maya's agent, is the mind. Mana. The mind is the broadcasting device of material energy. It's constantly broadcasting things to you that you can't turn off, and they cause you so much stress and anxiety. So many times in our lives, we don't plan for it, but trouble comes. And sometimes it's like, yeah, okay, there's an earthquake, you can't do anything about it. Or sometimes it's someone else who's troubling you, you can't do anything about it. But most times, quite often, it's our own mind. How often have you thought something terrible is going to happen, but nothing's happened? You're suffering for it way before it's going to happen because you're thinking it will happen. And what do people say? Turn it off. Or like, forget it. Let it be. That's another one. You know, because, and also like, it wouldn't be right to think that because I don't know, there is no way to let it be. No, there might be a way, and which is what yoga is meant for. Yoga is meant to connect this individual soul with the supreme soul. In between, the interference is the mind. Because the mind's projecting ideas to you. You can do this, you can do this, you can do this. And I'm going to now come to the heart of what I'm trying to get to. Is that through our attempts in this world to protect ourselves, to further our interests, for all of this, what are we trying to do? We're constantly, like you said something, happiness, to pursue a happy something you were saying. For a child, you were saying that, right? We were trying to pursue happiness. There is nothing wrong with pursuing happiness. But no one's getting the so-called happiness that we're talking about. The so-called rich aren't getting it, and the so-called poor are not getting it. Even having money and having happiness are two different things. So there is nothing wrong with the pursuit of happiness, but what is our idea of happiness? Like, fundamental right to happiness is there, happiness is there, but where is the knowledge of what is the standard of happiness? Without the knowledge of what is standard of happiness, we have conceived this idea that happiness means I've got a smile on my face, I'm laughing, I'm having a good time. We've conceived some notions about what it is. But this is just notions made up by our mind or other people's mind. That in the past, people's idea of happiness was influenced by maybe going to church, maybe going to a synagogue, or whatever form of religion or, you know, spirituality someone practiced. Those kind of things influenced our sense of belonging and happiness. Or the leaders, people had great leaders or something. You know, leader was a person of good character, right? You have the idea of a noble king or a great leader or a great warrior. Remember all the. But instead, now what do we do? We have given zero. To be a leader in the world today, do you need to have character? Society, we have overlooked it. Not just now, year after year, year after. It's not now. It's not a disease from now. It's been going on for decades. We have disassociated character from capability. Pursue happiness, but we don't have the knowledge of what is the right standard of happiness. And that is why there is struggle in this world. Because we have, I was saying that in the past, society was influenced by scripture or, you know, some kind of higher character displayed by the leaders. Now we've separated out. You know how society is manipulated today? Through news and through movies, right? You want to create a panic in the society? You make a movie. You put a news item out there. I like your example of Spider-Man, because you know what those kind of movies do? And I love such things, you know, like magic and adventure. Like, yeah, like she's a little, you're like, you know, yes, it's magic coming. But you know what it does? It does 2-3 things from a yoga perspective. You see, for yoga perspective, you'll see it does 2-3 things. One, it's showing you very low grade yogic powers, like being able to fly is a common yogic power, anima siddhi. You become so light that you can fly. There's again, you have other powers, like like people say Superman flies or something like that. Being able to create something from your mind, that's also a yogic power. So what it does is it takes these high, like yogic powers, makes it into a movie and makes it into mythology. And what it also does is it turns your focus outward. That in order to get this power, you need to look outside. A bug needs to come bite you, and then through genetic manipulation you'll get it. But it's you see how deep rooted this miseducation is. But actually, to be able to fly and to be able to walk on water, or to be able to create something, or to be able to live, you don't need to do those things. You need to actually develop yourself internally through yoga. But what they show is that you get these powers cheaply. But some bug bites you by chance, you get a power. There's miseducation about where power comes from. People believe that these kind of powers exist outside and someone can give it to you. No, it exists in you, and it comes from sense control. Not that you get power from outside and use it for sense indulgence. There's no sense to it. It's senseless. So just imagine if there was proper education about how you could really develop those so-called powers, which would not put these so-called qualities, these so-called need for love, family, everything. Like if you properly understood how to have it, imagine if there was a system that properly educated it, so that every child, when they grow up, don't have to figure it out all over again and struggle with it all over again. Because if say for example, you can tell me how to cook the one dish that I need to cook every day, then I can save some time by following your process and use the extra time to figure more things out. I can make progress as a civilization. A lot of what's going on in the world today, it's not me, it's like a lot of social research will tell you that, is that people are at the same point. You're reinventing the wheel every time, everyone's doing the same thing. So it's not a lot of progress happening.